It was supposed to be the biggest television comeback of the year, and instead, it started with a glitch that sent millions into full panic. The moment Stranger Things Season 5 finally hit Netflix, the platform buckled under the pressure. 1 second, fans were counting down to the return of the Upside Down. The next, they were staring at frozen screens, error messages, and loading wheels spinning into oblivion. Within minutes, social media turned into a battlefield. People who had waited 3 long years weren't just disappointed, they were furious. Timelines flooded with posts from fans demanding answers, some begging Netflix to fix itself right now. Others joking that the real monster was Vecna, it was the login page that wouldn't load. And even though the outage lasted only a few minutes, the chaos was enough to spark a firestorm online. The crash instantly became part of the premiere's story, a wild twist no one saw coming, and one that raised a bigger question. How could this happen at the very moment Netflix claimed they were ready for anything? But as it turns out, that weren't even the most surprising part. Because behind the scenes, something ironic was brewing, something that made this whole crash even stranger. What made the meltdown even wilder was the timing. Just hours before the premiere, co-creator Ross Duffer casually reassured fans that Netflix had everything under control. According to him, the streamer had boosted its bandwidth by 30% specifically to prevent a crash. He basically told everyone, relax, we're prepared. Then the drop hit and Netflix fell apart almost instantly. That tiny detail sent fans spiraling. If Netflix increased capacity, how did the platform still collapse within minutes? Online threads exploded with theories. Some people joked that even a 30% boost couldn't handle the Stranger Things army. Others suggested Netflix underestimated the global surge, especially from viewers who hadn't logged in for years, but returned just for this season. But then came a more interesting idea. Maybe the hype was so massive that even Netflix didn't realize what they were up against. Because every sign pointed to this premiere being bigger than anything they'd handled before. And if the platform cracked under pressure at the very start, fans wondered what else might be lurking beneath the surface. Still, the crash was only the beginning. As frustration settled and the streams finally came back online, another mystery started taking shape, one tied to the long wait leading up to this moment, and the intense pressure that built up behind the scenes. And that part of the story turned out to be just as explosive. By the time Season 5 finally arrived, the pressure on Netflix was unreal. Fans had been waiting since 2022, 3 full years of theories, guesses, leaks, and nonstop speculation. Every time the cast posted anything online, people begged for updates. Every small rumor turned into a trending topic. The anticipation didn't just grow, it boiled over. That long stretch created a kind of tension you could feel across the entire fandom. Viewers weren't just excited, they were expecting perfection. And with each delay, expectations only climbed higher. Some fans even claimed Netflix was nervous about releasing the season because the bar had been set almost impossibly high. Then there were the whispers online suggesting that the streamer had internal debates about when to drop the episodes. Nothing confirmed, but the idea spread fast. Maybe Netflix was trying to time the release for maximum impact. And if that was the plan, the platform crashing the second the episodes went live definitely wasn't part of it. The weight of that 3-year wait didn't just raise the stakes, it intensified every reaction to the premiere. So when the site glitched, even for a moment, it felt like all that pent-up energy erupted at once. But the real sparks started flying even before fans hit play. Because everything took a turn when Netflix dropped the first official teaser, and suddenly, the timeline of the story shifted in a way no one expected. When Netflix finally released the first teaser for Season 5, fans expected answers. Instead, they got a curveball. The story picks up in the fall of 1987, a surprisingly small jump from Season 4's 1986 setting. After years of waiting in real time, viewers thought the Duffers would leap forward dramatically, maybe even skip to the 90s. But instead, the show barely moved ahead at all. That tiny shift set off a wave of theories. Some fans believed the creators wanted to keep the characters aligned with their emotional arcs instead of aging them too fast. Others suggested the timeline had to stay tight because something massive happened right after the events of Season 4, something that couldn't be skipped over. There were even online whispers claiming the limited-time jump hints at darker story threads the Duffers didn't want fans to miss. Nothing confirmed, of course, but the chatter grew quickly. People started dissecting every frame of the teaser, convinced it was hiding clues about the final showdown with the Upside Down. What made it even more intriguing was how confident the showrunners seemed in their decision. They didn't treat the shorter jump like a compromise. It felt intentional, precise, and loaded with meaning, almost like the story was picking up mid-breath rather than starting fresh. And that excitement only intensified once fans learned more about what the final season was actually building toward. Because behind the familiar faces returning to Hawkins, a much bigger fight was waiting, one that promised to push the entire series into its final, explosive chapter. Even without giving anything away, one thing is clear: this final season isn't holding back. From the moment it begins, the story feels heavier, sharper, and more urgent. The characters we've followed for years are finally stepping into the conflict that's been chasing them since the beginning, the last stand against the Upside Down. Every major name is back. Gaten Matarazzo, Millie Bobby Brown, Finn Wolfhard, Caleb McLaughlin, Sadie Sink, Noah Schnapp, Joe Keery. The entire core cast returns, carrying the weight of everything their characters have survived. Seeing them all come together again instantly reignited the emotional spark fans have been waiting for. But what really grabbed attention was the Duffers' promise about the season's overall style. In an interview, they hinted that Season 5 would move faster than Season 4, not shorter in quality, but tighter in momentum. Matt Duffer even compared the final stretch to Return of the Jedi, a story that doesn't waste time ramping up because the audience already knows how high the stakes are. That comment alone sent fans spiraling. A season that starts strong and never lets up. That's exactly the kind of energy people hoped for after a 3-year wait. And if the creators are confident enough to describe it that way, it suggests they've been building toward this kind of finale from the very beginning. Still, the biggest shock wasn't the pacing or the returning cast. It was the breakdown of each episode, details that hinted at how intense the ride is about to get. And those numbers revealed something fans definitely weren't expecting. When Netflix finally revealed the runtimes for Season 5, fans realized just how carefully this final chapter was being crafted. The first 4 episodes alone showed a pattern, each one building longer and heavier, almost like the story is tightening its grip with every minute. The premiere opens at 1 hour and 8 minutes, a strong start that wastes no time. Episode 2 drops to 54 minutes, a shorter burst that keeps the rhythm sharp. Then the tension rises again, with Episode 3 stretching to 1 hour and 6 minutes, before Episode 4 sends everything surging forward at 1 hour and 23 minutes. That jump immediately sparked conversation online, with viewers convinced the 4th episode marks a major turning point in the story. But the runtimes weren't the biggest surprise. What really caught everyone off guard was the split release schedule. Instead of dropping all 8 episodes at once, Netflix is rolling out the final 4 in 2 waves. Episodes 5, 6, and 7 are coming on December 25th, turning Christmas Day into a binge-watch marathon. The finale, however, is being held until December 31st, almost like Netflix wants the end of Stranger Things to cap off the entire year. That choice triggered a new round of speculation. Some fans think Netflix spaced the drops to build suspense. Others believe the staggered release might help them avoid another surge, so intense it overwhelms the platform again. Nothing confirmed, but the theories spread fast, and each one added a new layer of intrigue to the season's rollout strategy. And all of this leads to one final question. If Netflix is timing the episodes with this much precision, what exactly are they preparing us for when the series reaches its last moments? As soon as Netflix announced the late December rollout, fans realized the ending of Stranger Things wasn't just another release, it was being positioned like an event. Dropping 3 major episodes on December 25th instantly turned the holiday into a viewing showdown, almost guaranteeing the entire world would be watching at the same time. But the real shock came with what followed, the series finale arriving on December 31st, right as the year closes out. That timing felt deliberate. Some viewers believe Netflix wants the final moments of Stranger Things to define the end of 2024, almost like a cultural reset, before the new year begins. Others think it's designed to maximize emotional impact, letting the story's conclusion land on a night when everyone's already reflecting on everything that's ending. And then there are the fans who claim the streamer simply wants a guaranteed global spotlight, because no one's missing a New Year's Eve finale. Whatever the reason, the schedule created a new kind of anticipation. Instead of a single binge, viewers now have a countdown, first to Christmas, then to the very last episode. That built-in suspense has only made the discussions louder. People are already planning watch parties, predicting cliffhangers, and debating how explosive those final two drops might be. But the biggest question isn't about dates or traditions. It's about what Netflix is trying to signal by stretching the finale across two major holidays. Because when a show reaches this level of cultural weight, every move starts to feel intentional. And that leads to a bigger mystery, the one everyone's been wondering since the crash, the teasers, and the rising pressure. What does this finale mean for Netflix, and for everything that comes next? When a single premiere can shake a global platform, even for a few minutes, it says something about the moment we're living in, and about the scale of Stranger Things as it reaches its final chapter. Netflix didn't just release a new season, they unleashed one of the biggest streaming events in years. And the brief crash, the staggering demand, the split release, every detail shows how high the stakes have become. For Netflix, this season is more than a finale, it's a test. A test of how much pressure their platform can handle, a test of how far their storytelling legacy can reach, and a test of what comes after the biggest show they've ever created. Because once Stranger Things ends, the streamer loses a cultural giant, one that shaped the platform's identity, fueled subscriber surges, and redefined what a streaming original could be. That's why so many viewers are already looking ahead. Fans are buzzing about potential spin-offs, rumored prequels, and universe-building projects that may, or may not come to life. Nothing official yet, but speculation spreads fast. Some believe Netflix will greenlight new stories to keep the world of Hawkins alive. Others think the Duffers might step away and let the original series stand alone, untouched. Either way, the finale's impact will stretch far beyond the last episode. It will influence the streamer's future strategy, shape the expectations for upcoming shows, and test whether Netflix can create another phenomenon on the same scale. And if the reaction to the Season 5 launch is any clue, this ending won't just be emotional, it'll be historic. Because in the end, the crash, the hype, the anticipation, and the massive global spotlight all point to one simple truth. Stranger Things isn't just closing a chapter, it's closing an era. And the way Netflix handles these final moments will determine what kind of world we step into once the portal finally closes.